This crowd rises to its feet. Vaccaro slammed it home. Garland left wing, free ball. Perfect! Garland front of the lane, lob to Mobley. Pow! And Allen blocked the shot at the rim. Pow! With the left hand and a foul.
Hello and welcome to the Chase Down Podcast. The Chase Down Podcast is presented by Fubo, the official streaming partner of the Cavs. Watch over 350 channels of live sports and TV, including FanDuel Sports Network without cable. There is no cost. There's no commitment. Try for free at FuboTV.com/Cavs. Oh, we had a fun one, gang. The Cavaliers went up by as much as I want to say 35, maybe got up to 37. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. A drubbing of the Brooklyn Nets after yet another long layoff, as we're in the weird gap between the NBA Cup and man, this team just continues to impress. But I'm not alone. Though our dear friend Justin is laid up with an injury. Poor guy cannot catch a break. I did not come without reinforcements. We got Rafa Hernandez-Brito. How you doing, Rafa?
How are you, Carter? Thank you for having me. I don't know if it's the exchange, 70 cents might be the injury that Justin is having. His name keeps changing, but it's a pleasure to be here. Finally, I get to be in it instead of just watching you guys on all the platforms that you guys are on. But I always watch for after the games. That most of them have been a lot of fun this season, like you said, and just to catch you guys on the Chase Down pod. Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. Well, thank you so much for joining. Obviously, it's been great to hear your calls throughout the year. And actually, I wanted to start this pod talking about not a Cavaliers call from you. During that legendary Gardo's run, you dropped this one on us.
Oh, my God.
Talk a little bit about that call. I was so geeked to hear you going viral.
Oh, my God. It was a game that, just to give you a little background on the thing, the Guardians won the series against Detroit with a grand slam by Lane Thomas, and our friends at TBS had told us that they were going to use it on game one, but then game one was a dog was a really bad game for the Guardians, and game two, so they never got to use it. So game three, we had dinner together with the guys at TBS, and they said, no, we're going to use it tonight. So around the fifth or sixth inning, they put the play and they put us on TV, and we thought, Carlos Baerga and I, we thought it was like the best thing that could have happened to us. National TV, we're on TV. They put the play of the Grand Slam, and then they put us on TV. Of course, we're smiling. My mom is texting me. Everybody's texting us. And then, the ninth inning happened with John Kenzie coming out to pinch hit, and they hit that 2-run bomb. And on top of that, David Fry had promised that he was going to hit a homer on the pregame, and we were talking to him. And I literally, I'm not lying to you, I almost jumped off the booth. I had to grab myself on the top of the window because I jumped up so hard when he hit that ball. And it was one of the, of course, we didn't like the ending of the series.
Of course not.
Losing to the Yankees on top of that. But that was a very, very magical night at Progressive Field, where everybody got to enjoy it. Everybody was still there, because the team, we knew that they always came back, and it was just amazing. It was incredible, and the people responded to tweet watching that. My tweet of that play got over 1 million hits within a day, and it was just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, in a lot of ways, I felt like that series and like that Guardians playoff run kind of like resonates with the way Justin and I kind of like to be a fan. You can't, like, if you live and die by the result, I just think you lose. Yeah, because, you look, if you go to Baseball Reference and you look at that series, you see what looks like a kind of a lopsided result, and maybe you don't feel so good about it. But if you're present and you're just enjoying the moment, you have two, like, legendary moments that you're going to remember for, the next 10, 20 years. And, like, I thought your call just perfectly encapsulated it. So at first, I wanted to open the pod with a little bit of flowers for you, brother.
I appreciate it. And the funny thing is that it depends who you talk to. But at the end of the day, the Yankee fans will tell you that nobody remembers John Kenzie's homer because of what Soto did after, when after that series, when he hit homers of Emmanuel Clase. But there's no way that a baseball fan, regardless of what team you root for, will not remember that Game 3 as one of the most epic moments. And he came out as the second best ending of 2024 on MLB Network. The only one that was better was the grand slam to win Game 1 of the World Series by.
Which, come on, that's fair. That's fair in the end. But yeah, what an amazing call! You did a great job covering that series. Obviously, you do a great job covering these Cleveland Cavaliers. And this one, it was a drubbing, and it kind of felt to me like a kind of a return to form. They have a stinker in Miami. Which not the first team to have a stinker in Miami. And then they go and play Washington, and it's not the sexiest win. They win by 10, but it's close kind of the whole way through. Washington's kind of keeps flirting. They're not, Evan goes out. It just doesn't feel like they have a ton of control of the game. Kind of felt like back to these are the Cavs that have been taking over. Was that kind of your interpretation of watching this one?
Yeah, these games against teams that on paper were supposed to beat, like the way the Cavs beat the Nets tonight, are always dangerous because the human nature is to just take it maybe easy, or it happened tonight. They go up by 30 plus in the first half, and then in the second half, the Nets come out and start making threes, and it changes. But to me, I think when you evaluate the whole thing, the game against Washington, not only they kind of lowered the level to the competition, but also those extra days off kind of hit them. Extra days in Miami and then coming home, and you could tell that there was a little out of rhythm style from the guys. But luckily, Carter, the Cavs are so good this season that they kind of actually have the luxury to be a little rusty and still come out with a W with a team that they're supposed to beat. And I think tonight you saw the difference in rhythm, the difference in mentality, and that rest, I think, had helped. And Kenny mentioned it today, Kenny Atkinson, about how they finally got a chance to practice, which you rarely do in the NBA during the regular season. And they have been talking about getting better defensively, and they have been talking about just closing on the three-point shooter. They haven't been really putting up a body, and the way the NBA is going now, that everybody's just shooting threes from left and right. So I think you have to evaluate it from that side, that the Cats finally got a chance to show what they have been working on, and it looked today they were really locked in defensively. It was incredible.
Yeah, I think it's funny because that opening of 17 games in like 28 days or something like that. It was just one of the most bananas opening stretches as I've ever seen. And then they've almost gone to the complete other end of the spectrum where they've had so many days off that they almost seem like they've they're not into the rhythm and the routine of what they're doing. And I do think you're right that this game kind of felt like maybe a normalization of the rhythm. And I do think it's a really important point that, Kenny got to do a lot of coaching in camp. He got to do a lot of here's my system, here's my belief system, here's what we're going to care about. But then for the first quarter of the season, he didn't get to make any adjustments or learn any lessons. So I do think, especially, with Max Strus' return looking imminent and things like that, it does feel like he's getting to actually make his first tweaks. And to your point, the defense, it hasn't been bad, but it certainly hasn't been the top 3 unit that we kind of know it to be. And it does feel like they really put the clamps on tonight.
Definitely. They kind of fell off the top 10 a little bit a few weeks back. And going back to what you were talking about the rest, I think it's going to benefit us immensely because it basically is going to chop our season in 3. We played every other day, the first, 20 games, 18 games of the season. And then in the month of December, we have 3 breaks of at least 3 days. That kind of hurt us at the beginning, but I think now we're off until the 3 games in 4 days coming up, and then off another 3 days to head out to the West Coast. And then we get the All-Star break, which is another way to set up and get ready for the final stage. So I think that's the part that the Cavs, at the end of the day, we're going to look back and say, man, at the end of the day, it worked out well for us. But today, yes, you saw the effort that we have been seeing throughout the season, where everybody comes in and the offensive, the way I look at this is, Carter, is like that our opponent does not get a break in either of the 48 minutes that they play against the Cavs, because there's either almost in every game, with the exception of the Chicago game that five bench guys brought us back to the W, but almost every game is either Don and Mobley or Garland and Allen with three other guys who are shooting lights out, who are some of the best bench players in the league. So they don't get a break for 48 minutes. And usually that's when the Cavs make the jump like they did today. The Nets started on a 7-0 run. The Cavs pick it up.
They didn't finish on a 7-0 run.
Yeah. The moment they took the lead, Niang and LeVert came in. LeVert was on fire on his return to Brooklyn, and all that other extra thing, all the pieces we have that were coming back to Brooklyn. So at the end of the day, for all those that are saying at the beginning, oh, the Cavs are not that good, it's almost more than a quarter of the season. So it's a big sample to look at, and it's not a coincidence, it's not luck. This is the Cavaliers team that we're going to see all season long if we get lucky with the things we can't control, which are mostly health and everything else. So.
Yeah, and to your point about the 48 minutes and no breaks, there's also no breaks in terms of like the pace and the tempo they're playing at. You know, something that Kenny talked about going into the season was the fact that, you know, coaching Olympic basketball and playing 10, 11, 12 guys in a 40-minute game was that the expectation was, if you're out there, you better be playing at 130% intensity.
Yep.
And because he's running a deep rotation, 9 to 10 men every night, I would call tonight a 9.5 because Ty really only played first half minutes while the game was I guess it was kind of over pretty early, but you get what I'm saying. But they're just kind of able to come at you in waves. And, I think you mentioned Caris. I think he's really who we kind of have to start with tonight. Dropped 6 threes in the first half. He finishes with those 6 threes. But you look at Caris, and I pulled up the numbers. This does not include tonight's game. But last year, 28% of Caris's shots were mid-rangers. That was in the 68th percentile for the NBA. So he shot more threes more mid-rangers than almost anyone. Only 32% shot more than him. This year, he's down to 13% of his shots from the mid-range, and his rim attempts are up to 38%. So, he has completely changed. I'm sorry, up to 48%. So his shot profile has gotten so much more efficient, and it does feel like he's playing his best basketball as a Cavalier. And I don't know if it's Kenny, I don't know if it's a light bulb went off, but he really is a new player.
I think it's definitely the system that Kenny has brought in, and it has benefited everybody, including, obviously leading up with Caris LeVert, who's not only up there 40+% from three, but it's also the way that the Cavs have moved the ball this year. They had changed from that pick and roll offense with Jared just going going up and down from the lane to the free throw to the top of the key to a game where even you saw it today. Caris had hit 6 threes, and he was passing the ball, making the extra pass when somebody else was open, which usually you don't see that in the NBA, right? You see the guy that is he's hot for the night. He's going to keep on shooting it. And I think that's what benefits Caris and all the other guys. Basically, the whole team. It's just we are hitting or taking threes at such a high clip. But if you look at the numbers and the videos, there's really not that many bad shots, other than the ones with the clock expiring, Merrill took a couple of today that they were just he had to shoot them. So I think Caris is just hanging around, moving the ball, waiting until the ball comes in when it is open, and that's why the threes come. So, but yeah, I think Kenny for sure has a lot to do with it. And I want to say, yes, Caris is something, but I always make sure that I let people know the amazing improvement in Sam Merrill's defensive game, especially in the last couple of weeks, has been incredible. He's doing things that you don't see on the scoring sheet. And today was 1 for 8, I think. But he does so well defensively that just creates possessions. The turnovers and the points of turnovers today were just incredible. They didn't forgive not many mistakes by the Nets, and that it's hard to beat a team that doesn't let you get away with mistakes like that.
Yeah, I mean, Merrill is. I mean, I think it's fair to say he'd probably tell you he's slumping from three over the last couple of weeks, and the fact that we're just not really seeing, we're not seeing that kind of drop off, really goes a long way to show how much he's able to help in all the kind of intangible things. The fact that, I mean, the reality is, if you're looking at Sam Merrill lineups where he's not hitting, you would normally expect the plus minuses to collapse. It's like, all right, if he's shooting at a good clip, lineups are good. If he's shooting at a bad clip, lineups are bad. That's kind of what you would expect for a player kind of with his archetype. But again, the Cavs just don't really have any bad lineups right now. Everyone, they're just not playing lineups that regularly get outscored. You look on social media, and how often do you see different fan bases bemoaning either a unit or a part of the game that they always just get their teeth kicked in on? Obviously, like a team like Denver in the no Jokic minutes, that really jumps out every time. Where it's like, okay, well, they're gonna get run off the floor for the four. And God, if anyone knows it, it's Cavs fans, because this was us when LeBron sat. No matter how good the supporting talent was around him.
And that's exactly what you were saying. You're talking about the rest and not getting no breaks, Carter. But you mentioned something that is very important. They don't get a break in the style of game. You mentioned LeBron. Those 4 years that we went to 4 straight finals, it was a completely different basketball game when LeBron and Kyrie and Kevin were in it. And then when there was a point where they were like, it was LeBron and 4 subs to start the second quarter. And it was just a completely different style of ball game that the Cavs play. Now, it doesn't matter who's playing point guard. It doesn't matter who's playing pivot. It doesn't matter who's shooting the ball. It's the same style of basketball where they do the fundamental stuff, just the basic stuff. They do so well. And those are the things that kind of break your backs and kill you when the team is doing it and constantly doing them well.
Yeah, it's been so damn fun. Do you think they had a little extra juice in this one for Kenny? First game back in Brooklyn as a head coach?
I was thinking about it, but he's been back as an assistant, right? But, I don't know. That weekend that he had against Golden State and the Nets was a pretty good weekend for Kenny to do like the comeback tour, with that big first half against the Warriors and then beating the Nets. I don't know if it was the back-to-back, but it was the same weekend here at home. So I think there was something by the players more than from Kenny to make sure that, LeVert, basically, he was the one and they had 2 pieces that they let go when Harden came into town, and we all know how that that terror movie ended.
Well, I mean, I actually I've been really impressed by Kenny for kind of never taking the bait in kind of playing the victim. Because, like, pretty collectively, the basketball community was like, that guy did not deserve to have that outcome.
Oh.
And the fact that he instead, and I talked about it when I had a one-on-one with him before the season, he's pretty universally been like, I could have just been sad and mad, but instead I had to really think about what I would learn from the situation. Like, what can I take away? What was I not good enough at that I can get better at? And obviously, like, star management was like number one. And talk about the 2 hardest stars to manage for your first time. But who does he go coach with? He goes to Ty Lue, who managed LeBron and Kyrie. Then he goes to Golden State.
And he had Kawhi.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he had Kawhi. Yeah. So he really, I feel like, he went and got a master class in how to manage up and down the roster and has come out all the better. So, yeah, it's been really, really cool to see. And obviously, like, you just can't help but root for the guy. I mean, I want to ask you, as someone who, is around the team and kind of part of these scrums, how cool is it seeing how open and available he is to the media? Like, he really is giving real thoughtful answers. Like, I've not seen a coach in a while who's pre-game and post-game availabilities, I'm like, I gotta watch because he's actually gonna tell me what he's thinking about.
I'm gonna learn something.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you two things that you'll appreciate, or maybe three. The first one is, and I don't recommend any young kid watching the chase down Paul to do what Kenny Atkinson did, because it worked well for him, and that's how prepared he was and how well he reacted from that losing his job with the Nets, because he had opportunities to go coach, to get the head coaching job while he was at Golden State, and chose to stay because he thought it wasn't the right opportunity for him to do so. And then when the Cavs opened, and at first you would have thought he was saying it just because, he's here, he's going to say that's the job he wanted. But man, the way it's working out, it for sure, Kenny Atkinson had a good eye of wanting to keep the same unit that we have, the same roster, and doing it well. But to the other point that you were talking about, how awesome he is, before the season started, I had to host an event with some season ticket holders and partners for the Cavaliers. They do a really good job about, hosting our not only our partners that help us, keep the doors open and help us get to the fans, but also our season ticket holders. And Kenny did something that I had never had a coach, a player, or a front office person do, and it was all people from the partnerships groups. And I was, I'm doing the hosting, and I'm supposed to be asking Kenny Atkinson questions about, the silver medal and this and that. And he goes, hey, you know what? Can I do something here? Because I want to do something different. I always like to learn, and we have so many important people here. So can you tell me what's changing in your business that you have to react to, and how you're changing your style of management? And it was so amazing how everybody got so involved in the conversation. And Kenny was able to turn that into basketball. Like whatever was happening at our partner's office or our partner's business, he was kind of explaining it in basketball terms. And the conversation that was supposed to last 45 minutes, including breakfast, it was like 2 hours, and Kenny Atkinson was still there in the floor talking to these people. And he was like, oh my God, this guy is like cut differently from what we're used to with coaches and especially the press conferences. And the most important thing, and I'm still looking for help from the newspapers in New York, I am pretty sure that Kenny Atkinson and I played against each other in high school in New York, in Long Island.
Did you give him that work, Rafa?
And he said to me, when I told him, he said to me, I probably beat the crap out of you. I said, you're probably right, because his school in Huntington was a lot bigger than mine. So, but we used to play his school all the time, and he went to high school in the same year that I went to. So.
That's hilarious. Well, Kenny, that goes to speak to exactly what Kenny is kind of proven to be, which is a curious dude. And dudes who have been coaching in the league that long, who've been around that long, that have been as successful as he is, you can forgive them for getting uncurious as they get older. There's a lot of uncurious old people in my life that have been around the block a time or two, and the fact that he has remained, I feel like that is the kind of thing that keeps you in the league for the next 10, 15 years. And he's got to be the front runner for Coach of the Year. And I feel like that curiosity goes a long way. He's doing great work for the Cavaliers. And Rafa, only you can do your best work. Zoom AI Companion can help you do the rest, like automatically taking notes, answering meeting questions, and helping you respond to your coworkers. Available at no additional cost with eligible paid plans. Work happy with Zoom AI Companion. Rafa, I want to pivot back to the Nets game. Talk about Evan Mobley a little bit. He finished with what I would call a normal Evan stat line at this point. 21 points, 7 of 9 from the field, 6 of 6 from the line, 5 boards, 2 assists in just 23 minutes. By the way, all the per game stats are gonna kill these Cavaliers, because none of them are playing more than 26 minutes every other night. But I found, this Nets matchup has been an interesting one for him, because a guy like Nick Claxton is very physical, very kind of has a certain violence to the way he plays the game. And I felt like Evan just completely physically dominated him on a lot of possessions. And what have you seen from him in terms of just his functional grown man strength that he has added over the course of this year?
There's no doubt about it, Karen. By the way, he led the team in scoring today. after getting in foul trouble in the first quarter.
Yep.
With only 23 minutes played, and 130 points scored by the Cavs, and nobody scored more than 21 points.
That's
7 did
story of the season, it feels like.
So 7 of them did score in double figures, and only one 20-point scorer to score 130 points. So that, but in terms of Evan Mobley, I think people are discovering how wrong they are to assume that Evan Mobley was going to be the same Evan Mobley we've seen the last couple of years. I mean, they forget that this is the kid that came in to Cleveland, basically finishing growing up, right?
Yeah.
And he has put in the work from the moment his first season ended. He went to work. And if you are expecting that Mobley is going to be strong when he gets all the LeBron muscles and chases, you wrong. I think he's worked a lot on his core. He worked a lot on his strength, in his leg strength. And you have seen it so many times this year where people try to push him or shove him, and they end up with the short end of the stick. And Evan Mobley has really taken the challenge that Kenny Atkinson gave him from the moment he came in, about he was going to be, part of the leading the offense. And I think his touches has gone up a lot more this year than they were the previous two. So I like the fact that he has shown the confidence. And I hate to compare Carter, because Evan Mobley is the next Evan Mobley.
Yep.
But his style of game is kind of like that shy, quiet Tim Duncan style of game.
It's been my favorite comp since he's drafted.
Nobody gave Tim Duncan. People complaining with Kevin Garnett. I think Duncan is the more that fits even the personality that Evan Mobley has, because you can tell whether or not he's happy or mad about what happened in the game tonight. And I think that's something good, when kind of like a poker face for Evan Mobley, because the opponent doesn't even know whether they're getting to him or not. And he just keeps playing himself, getting better every day. And I still think and believe strongly that the Cavs will be at the top of their possibilities whenever Mobley is the best player on the court. And this season he's shown that many times.
Yeah, Danny Cunningham of Locked on Cavs had a great stat. He is finishing an and one on 30% of his fouls drawn this year. And I think so much of what as we've talked about, the Evan discourse, as you've noted, has been really annoying. It's been a lot of people making a lot of really aggressive decisions about what he's gonna be. And I think really fundamentally misunderstanding kind of where his development curve started. This is one of Justin's favorite things to talk about is, if you start at an 8 out of 10, you don't have as much room to grow every year as some of these rookies who come in as a 4 out of 10. So the growth is going to look a little bit smaller and a little bit more incremental. And to your point about the muscles, I think it's my favorite point, because, Evan doesn't have to be a big, strong. He doesn't have to put on 30 pounds of muscle and fat, and he doesn't need to bulk up. And in fact, he probably shouldn't at his size, especially playing power forward. But something that we saw with a guy like Anthony Davis, who also came in, rail thin, is you just grow up. These are kids. When you're standing, I remember seeing Evan even going into year 2 in person, and it's that looks like a tall kid. His frame was that of a kid.
21-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Like a 22-year-old kid.
And what we're seeing now is just that 10%, the dial turn 10% to oh, now he's a grown man. And and he's getting these he's able to high point these rebounds. He's getting bumped and maybe only moving back a half a foot instead of a foot and a half, and his balance is strong. I think that's why that and one rate is so high right now. There were a lot of plays tonight where I think 4 or 5 of his free throws were on and ones tonight. And I think a lot of it's, they're trying to wrap him up. And if he catches the ball with advantage, he's just able to finish over them. So I've just been so damn impressed by him. And I think even on games where he isn't doing a crazy amount of initiating, you can still see you can still see this too big thing working so well, because he not only has the skill, like everyone is so hyper focused on the skill, but being taller and stronger than the dude guarding you goes a long way.
Yeah, and just to add to everything that you just said, I think is you have to be patient in terms of how much the growth is going to show. He's not going to show his full potential one year after the other, right? He's going to have to be working. He's gotten better in his 3-point shooting.
Yep.
His defense has been there from the beginning. He's just stronger in the paint. He's really protecting the bucket. He's bringing the ball up. He's working on his handle. So it is a work in progress that it could really help us even win a title while he works on getting better. And I think one of the other things that I wanted to talk about before we switch topics here about Kenny Atkinson and the fans that, you talk about how everybody was killing basically about Mobley and Garland specifically last year, forgetting about the injury. And I always tell people, I would like you to try to eat blended food try for 2 weeks and see how you react and how you can act. Like come back and play with dudes in rhythm and in shape. But Kenny Atkinson has put an end, Carter, to that whole crazy logic of, the Cavs needs to break up either Mobley or Allen, but they can't have both. And Mitchell and Garland don't work together on the court. And it's like, come on, the professional, really great players, and they just
the thing that Justin has always noted, and he does a great job kind of keeping track of all the lineup data, is that the numbers have just really never told us that it doesn't work. Even with one big on the floor, the Darius Donovan backcourt has had great defensive numbers. Our best offensive ratings have come with both bigs on the floor. Like these guys can work together. They definitely had a weird, bad circumstance year, but like something that we felt really strongly about on this podcast, is that you don't give up what makes you special to get more conventional, especially if there's a team that you're competing with that is the best version of that conventional line of thinking. Like I think neither Justin nor I really liked what the New York Knicks did this summer, because all they did was they got more like the Boston Celtics. But you know who you're not going to beat playing Boston Celtics basketball? The Boston Celtics. No one's better at it than them.
You won't box the boxer or punch the puncher. You got to do the other way around. So yeah.
Like I mean,
just think is
they have this weird superpower, and that superpower has some quirks to it. But like, moving Darius for a 3-and-D small forward or Jarrett for the same, it just never made sense.
Crazy. And I think at the end of the day, it helps better to have 3, maybe 4 guys that can actually take over a game at the end, which is what we have been doing, which is just going with the guy that is hot.
Yeah.
The guy that can take over the game. And that other sacrifice that they have been making about the minutes and the point score and the shot attempts, that is huge. That doesn't get really talked about a lot, about how Kenny Atkinson has been able to make these guys a one bundle of players that actually just go along and root for the guy. Like tonight was Caris LeVert in the first half. You could see Mitchell just purposely giving the ball to LeVert and telling him, don't pass it, shoot it. So it's amazing. It's incredible.
And even Caris, by the way, sorry to interrupt, but even Caris in the second half goes, we're winning. I don't need to keep gunning. Like he takes like 2 field goals in the second half. He's like completely content to just have a nice time with his buddies. A lot of guys, they get 18 points in the first half. They're going for more.
They want 40.
They want 30. They want 40. These guys are just kind of letting the game come to them. And it's been really, really fun. Obviously, one player that we still haven't seen yet, and oh man, am I hoping for Friday, is Max. There were some conflicting reports about is he gonna, that he might be coming back, and then ends up not making the trip to Brooklyn, not playing last Friday. What do you think he's going to add to the alchemy of the team coming back? Because obviously he's got a very unique disposition himself. We like to call him Mad Max here on the pod because he's always grumping at someone. What do you think he adds to the alchemy of this team? What do you think he does for this team from a chemistry perspective before we talk about on court?
Yeah, I think Max is the guy that everybody loves, and you see it. He's been with the team even through his injury, and he adds something that he himself was missing in his first season as a Cavalier, because the style of game that we played last season didn't really match the style of game that we know Max Strus, or the reason Max Strus came to Cleveland, and Kobe Altman went out and made sure to get that shooter, that catch and shoot guy, that guy coming off the screen who never stays still on the court. So I think he's just like the early trading deadline thing for the Cavs, because we get somebody that can actually come in, contribute, who is not going to care whether he comes off the bench or starts. And we have seen it, how the few lineups that we have had so far have worked for Kenny Atkinson, because, like we mentioned before, we play the same style of game, the same style of ball, no matter which five guys are on the court. So I think Max has been very good at staying up to date with what's going on with the team and traveling with the team, even through his injury, just to make sure that he doesn't miss that part of when he comes in, and he's always going to be his physical condition and all that. So I'm excited to see what happened. If it's Friday, it'll be great, because with the few wins that the Cavs have by single digits this year, 2 have been against the Bucks,
and they're playing great ball right now.
Could be coming out of a really good game, or even a title in the cup, and we got a bone to pick against us, and so we'll see. I hope it's Friday. I thought it was going to be this weekend. It's not. So whenever it is, I'm pretty sure they have really put a plan down to execute it when he comes back and do it. Obviously it's going to be in the minutes restriction, because he has 2 injuries instead of 1 when he went down. So I'm pretty sure there's not even a doubt that they have a plan of what that's going to look like, or what unit he's going to be working with. And I think that's going to benefit Max immensely. And we're going to see a different Max Strus that we saw, in the season for the most part last year.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to see. Obviously, you look at the splits when Darius was healthy, and his efficiency numbers were like insane. Like, this guy loves playing with a pure point guard. It really, really takes his game up another level. I'm excited to see his playmaking and his 2-man game with Mobley back. I thought that was really one of the biggest bright spots of a weird first couple months last year. And then off the court, I think something that is nice is I feel like prior to this game, you started to see the first bits of like, it's a long regular season kind of slippage. Some of the attention to detail, some of the not playing that 130% in my shift type of basketball. Some of these slippages have been small, but you see them. And a guy like Max, who is going to notice everything and call out everyone, regardless of whether it's Donovan Mitchell or Craig Porter Jr., no matter up or down the roster, I feel like if you come out and you don't close out well, or he's gonna notice, and you're probably gonna hear about it. And like, I feel like the seriousness with which Max takes the game is something that really kind of helps keep you sharp. And it's like, he almost is a nice counterweight, because this is such a light and fun team. I feel like someone who has that grit and that edge that Max has goes a long way for this group of guys.
I think it's a great mixture of characters that we have, and you need that in a team in order to do well. You need that guy, and that might be probably what the Cavs need for the next phase of the season, which is a guy that's going to come in and just light up the intensity again, because he wants to be part of this, right? He hasn't been part of this amazing run, so he's not going to want this to slow down. So Max Strus is going to be there in everybody's face in practice, because he always practiced really hard. He's like a daily style practice guy. So I'm excited about everything that's going to happen with Max Strus coming back, especially once he gets in the rhythm, in game shape, like they say, because it's a very different style. It's a very different thing when he's in shape right now, but when he comes in after you run up and down 2 times you realize you're like way out of breath. So I'm excited to see what Max brings and how Kenny is gonna make those combinations work.
Just
Because he has
another
pushed
arrow
every
in the
button.
quiver.
Yeah, but he has pushed every button and has put every single player that he has used this season in a position to succeed with whoever the other four are that they're playing with. So.
Yeah, I very rarely have seen whether the result works or not. I very rarely see Cavaliers players doing things that I don't think they should be doing, and like, or things that I go, oh, that's a stretch for you to like. Why do you have the ball in this part of the floor? There's just not a lot of that happening. Rafa, obviously, I love having you on. Love talking hoops with you. But before we go, I know that you've kind of taken a new role with the team, working on the social impact and equity team with the Cavs. Can you tell me about some of the cool work you've been doing kind of in the Cleveland community?
It's been great, and I gotta share it. My team is the best Cavs care with the social impact and equity team led by Kevin Clayton and Pam Frasco. We have a really amazing opportunity because the Cavs, ever since I came here almost 11 years ago, have made it a point to do even better off the court than we do on the court, and the work with the community has been incredible. We have right now, with the small group that we have of team members that we play, we are really working in the community, trying to improve education, trying to improve and help in the food scarcity, the social justice point that we need help with, and anything that come up. Because sometimes we have issues that come up with the community, out of nowhere. So it's been a really rewarding experience that I have been asking for to be part of for a while, and at the same time, a little bit of frustration to see how much help is needed out there in the community. But then you come to the realization that you can do as much and the best you can, and hope that everybody else joins you trying to work on the change that we want to see in this world. So I want to really thank everybody, because our fans have really helped us a lot, especially in this year, the season of giving. We had a lot of our team members join in, buying presents for kids in need. We have the book fair that I'm going to tomorrow, where each kid gets 2 free books, and trying to give away 1 million meals, thanks to our friends with Giant Eagle and our friends at Cliffs with the season of giving. So it's been a very life-changing experience, and I can't wait to do more of it. I miss the mic. I miss doing all the games. I miss traveling with the guys. And just so you know, and before I forget, Max, Sam Merrill's shooting is about to change, because we had a conversation last year during the second half of the season where he was shooting lights out. I'm not taking credit for it, but I used to give Sam a number to hit, a number of threes to hit per game, right? So the other day we were talking about how good he's been playing defensively, and I said, you know what, maybe you're not giving me the number anymore. Maybe that's why I'm on a slump. So starting Friday, I'm going to start texting Sam, giving him the target number for threes to hit per game. So hopefully we'll see a turnaround on the sniper.
Listen, you're contributing to the community both on and off the court, Rafa. That's why we love you. If you want to go check out some of the cool stuff Rafa's been doing, and find any opportunities you can to help, go to Cavs.com/community. All these really, really cool initiatives there. Rafa, anything else you want to plug before we say goodbye?
We need followers on Cavs Care on Twitter. That's where we have all our events. And then if you come to Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse for home games, we have this really cool opportunity for all of you to meet our legends. Campy Russell and I have this program called Legends Corner, and we had not only just Cavs legend. Last game it was Josh Cribbs from the Browns and Elmore Smith join us, and they take pictures, sign autographs, and for an hour, as soon as the doors open in the atrium, the fans can come in, meet Mark Price, Larry Nance, Bobby Gibson, Senor Cavalier, Campy Russell, and we're going to have some really good surprises coming up in the year when we come back on the next homestand in January. So join us at the Fieldhouse, Legends Corner, right in front of the championship wall, where you have that cool video. I still watch that video of you when you came in the first time to the Fieldhouse.
That was a lot of fun. One of my favorite days of my adult life was announcing that partnership. So appreciate you, Rafa.
I gotta tell you, you can feel that when you watch that video, and I like watching it because it's so real. Because I probably had the same feeling when I came the first time to work for the Cavs in 2014, and it's amazing, and you guys do a great job. So I every time I look at that video, I'm like, man, I like that feeling.
I appreciate you so much, Rafa. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for all the work you're doing in the Cavs community. And thank you to our listeners. If you'd like to support the pod, go ahead and subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe. Help cook those books on any audio platform that you prefer. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the Cavs YouTube channel. Make sure you like the video. If you want to help that algorithm out a little bit, drop a comment. Get the conversation going. Really appreciate everyone for tuning in. Hopefully we'll see Justin back on our next episode. I think we'll be going Thursday night. Thank you so much for listening, and as always, go Cavs.